Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into the story of the NingXia Hui Autonomous Region. Now, that one word in its name, autonomous, it tells a really deep story about culture, policy, and identity in China. So let's get right into it.
So what does autonomous actually mean when you get right down to it? I mean, it's not just a label on a map, right? It's a unique political status, and it shapes everything from which public holidays you get off to the food you see in restaurants. And that is the big question we're going to unpack today. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll look at why NingXia, of all places, got this special status. Then we'll nail down what autonomous really means as a policy. After that, we'll see it in action, explore how it works to preserve a unique heritage, and finally, uncover the really surprising way these cultures have actually blended together.
Okay, first up, NingXia's special status. So out of all the different regions in China, why was this one chosen to be the designated autonomous region for the Hui people?
Well, it really just comes down to the numbers, to the demographics. NingXia is and has been for a long time the heartland for China's Hui ethnic group, who are a predominantly Muslim minority. It's where the majority of them live, and they make up over a third of the region's entire population, living right alongside the Han majority. That kind of concentration made it the absolute natural choice.
Okay, so we know why NingXia. Now let's dig into the policy itself. What does autonomous actually mean?
At its core, the whole policy is about two things: equality and preservation. The goal is to make sure that minority groups have the same rights as the Han majority. And here's the crucial part. It gives the local government the power to write its own laws that reflect and protect the specific customs of their designated group, so in this case, the Hui people.
And NingXia isn't some kind of one-off. It's actually one of 5 autonomous regions in China, and each one is designated for a different major ethnic minority. You can see them all here, from Inner Mongolia all the way up north to Tibet in the southwest. So this whole thing is part of a much bigger, nationwide approach to managing ethnic diversity.
Now for the really cool part, where the rubber meets the road: autonomy in action. How does this big, high-level policy actually change things for people living their day-to-day lives in NingXia?
Well, the effects are really tangible. For example, Hui Muslims get to celebrate their most important festivals, like Eid al-Adha, as official, statutory holidays. The regional government can also shape its own economic plans, say, by focusing on the halal food trade, and it can even host huge international events like the China-Arab Forum. And, maybe most importantly, it ensures their voice is heard loud and clear in government.
And when we talk about political representation, it's not just a nice idea or a suggestion. It is guaranteed by law. At least 50% of the government's top officials in NingXia must be from the Hui ethnic group. This makes sure that the community's perspective is built right into the structure of the region's leadership.
So, beyond politics and holidays, this autonomy plays a huge role in actively preserving heritage through 2 of the most powerful pillars of any culture: education and, of course, food.
Let's look at education. You've basically got a parallel system. So alongside the standard public schools that everyone goes to, NingXia has a whole network of Quran schools. And these go from elementary all the way up to the college level. They teach the standard national curriculum, but they also offer specialized classes on the Quran and the Arabic language. This creates a really clear pathway for students who might want to become religious leaders or imams.
Now for food. If you walk down pretty much any street in NingXia, you'll see just how central halal food is to daily life. It's way more than a dietary preference, it's a cornerstone of Hui culture, and the autonomous government has put some very strict laws in place to protect it.
And the crucial thing here is just how specific these laws get. To get a halal food business license, it's not enough to just serve the right kind of food. If you're a big company, your percentage of Hui employees has to match the regional population, and your key managers have to be Hui. And for, say, a small family-run restaurant, the owner and the main chefs have to be from a group with halal traditions. It's woven deep into the economy.
So with all these rules for schools and businesses, you might think the result would be 2 completely separate cultures, living in their own bubbles. But that leads us to our final section, and a really surprising outcome: a culture that's actually fused together.
You see, instead of building a wall to keep Hui culture separate and protected, the policy seems to have created something more like a semi-permeable membrane. It's a barrier, sure, but it's one where traditions and ideas can pass back and forth. The result isn't just preservation, it's fusion.
And you can see this fusion everywhere you look. Hui families will often celebrate traditional Han holidays like the Spring Festival.
On the flip side, a lot of Han families in NingXia have adopted the local custom of butchering a sheep for their big festival meal instead of a pig. Traditions are shared all over the place, from funeral customs to everyday snacks. This quote from one of our sources just perfectly captures how deep this cultural blending goes. A Han Chinese person who grew up in NingXia said that they just unconsciously avoided pork their whole life. It wasn't until they moved away that they had this sudden aha moment and realized, wait a minute, I can eat pork, I'm not a Muslim. The local culture had just become their own, without them even noticing.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. We started by asking what autonomous really means, and we found a policy designed to preserve a distinct culture. But what happened was something far more complex, and honestly, way more interesting. It raises a bigger question. How does a place even define its identity when its cultures don't just live side by side, but truly merge into something new? It's a powerful idea to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.